Is this beneath me? Is my channel better than this? Than just talking about the new diss tracks, the new beef songs, the hot gossip, Family Matters by Drake and Meet the Grams by Kendrick Lamar? I don't know. I am going to get to the songs. I'm going to be talking more about the sort of the form and the meaning of the songs than I am the actual content. I'm not really going to do a bar by bar breakdown. Genius exists. 1,000 other websites exist. But this is, my question, that this whole beef has been making me wonder, because this is an always positive music show hosted by a French professor. See, I got to my intro. And I try to be positive, but this whole thing is just sucking up all the oxygen in new music. And if I were to avoid it, it would be kind of affect, because I'm thinking about it, you're thinking about it, so let's think about it together. Speaking of the whole idea of things being beneath you, so my wife is, we're very busy at this house, got a teenager, baby on the way, and a 16-month-old, okay? So we're just running around all over the place. And I've been trying to talk to my wife about this beef all week and about how it's been good for the channel, and I'm a little bit unclear if it's bad for my brand. Not so much my brand, but my standing with people who, love what I do, and maybe people who love what I do don't love that I am covering this beef in depth. Sort of the same issue I have when I talk so much about Kanye, people who are disappointed in me, which is worse. And as I was saying, that there's this beef between Drake and Kendrick, and she was like, "What? I had no idea." And then she said something. She said, "Isn't that beneath Kendrick?" And that's where I got pretty fascinated. And that's the first question I'd like you to answer in the comments. Is this whole thing not beneath Drake? I know that he did the Control verse, and I know that hip-hop is a competitive art, and I know that part of him doing this whole thing is him re-emphasizing the sort of the sport, the friendly scrimmage, whatever it was that he called it on Family Matters when he's talking to Drake, exhibition. But now that it's taken this other turn, maybe it is. I'm not sure. I do know that one of my most consistent commenters and auditors, Mr. AB2357, implored me on my last video to not make this video quickly. This video about Family Matters and about Meet the Grams, that I need to take more time. But I'm not going to. Do you know why? Because we need, this whole thing is a question of consuming and excreting. That's what we're doing. And if you don't eat quickly and evacuate quickly, you're going to get stuck. This is a moment. I've been watching, not only have I been listening to the songs, I've been watching commentary. I just got my car inspected. I had to sit in my damn car for like an hour. I watched Dead End Hip Hop's thing, and they're talking about how we don't even have time to digest. And I think that's the term I'm going to be getting back to, digestion. How do we digest all of this content? But we are living through a moment. This is legitimately, no matter what we say about anything else, good, bad, negative, this is a singular moment in pop culture history. This has never happened, not in hip-hop, not in pop, not in anything. What's happening right now, May 4th, 2024, 15 days away from Star Wars Day, okay? What's happening right now is absolutely wild. So let me add my bit to it. Now, the main thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of give you two options of how to read this whole situation. The positive and the negative. The positive, and I think this might be the most interesting, is that this whole beef is an addendum to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. This is a mainstreaming of this rather obtuse album. That's my kind of larger theory. Okay, I talked about how 616 in LA was an addendum to Euphoria. I'm now seeing this whole beef as a way of getting out a lot of these themes about fatherhood, about cyclical abuse, about what it is to be a man, about what it is to be a black man in America. All of these questions of masculinity and race and generational trauma and therapy and growth and recovery and hurting women, all of those themes that I just described, Mr. Morale and Big Stepper, they didn't hit. Okay, they didn't. They sort of did, but they didn't. They didn't really. He didn't have the hit that he needed with that because it was too ambitious. Frankly, it was probably too good. So now, through this beef, he manages to get all of those ideas out there, but in this weird targeted way where all of a sudden, the man who should be getting all of the views and attention is finally getting the views and attention again. So that's the positive way. And in that way, it contradicts a lot of the things I've said in the past. It's not my fault this beef keeps on evolving. I really thought it was a question of gatekeeping. I do think it's a little bit that. There is a little bit where this is kind of an old-fashioned, the most popular guy is problematic and I'm the real guy, and we'll talk about that in a second, okay? But then there's the negative read, which is just that this is ugly. And that this beef, it's content. It's not art. It's disposable, okay? These are disposable heroes of hypocrisy. Super preachy rap album from the early 90s. This makes me think, are these just our disposable heroes? Don't even look that one up. I'll be giving you some more recommendations that you should look up. You know, there's too much. There's just too much beef. I want to tell you how I came to even know about this. So once you get over the age of like 45, you generally, if you're a man, you generally don't sleep through the night. You generally wake up at least once because you got to rock a piss, okay? To my lovely neighbors up north, I used some Trailer Park Boys slang for you, so Canadians know I'm not against you. So, but last night it was actually, you know, it wasn't even that. I was thirsty, you know. The heat was on in my house and I was thirsty, and I had my trusty water bottle I keep next to the bed, and, you know, there's no water in there, so I get up and I go downstairs, and it's like 1:15 in the morning. I get up and I go downstairs and I get water and I check my phone just out of curiosity, and all of a sudden I see FD Signifier is streaming live. I'm like, what in the hell's going on? And then I see that there's a Drake song, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then I see that there's a Kendrick response. What the hell is going on? I'm sitting there, I'm so excited. Like, I listened to both songs. Here I am, 1:16 in the morning. Listen, all that family stuff I was talking about, that's not a lie. That's my life. I had to drive my daughter to the SATs this morning. The Saturday afternoon test. I had to drive her there. I got to take care of my baby. I had to get my car inspected, okay? I live an adult man life, and I'm sitting here at 1:15 like a teenager going, oh my God, he responded? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, who's going to drop the hottest beef? You know, I even thought about going live myself, recording in my bathroom just to hide the noise, and seeing as that's what got me up in the first place. FD Signifier said something which I think will probably end up being true, and something which I've also said in the past, which is that probably J. Cole will be the only clear winner in this whole thing. I think because his brand, for lack of a better term, is sort of being above all of this kind of insecurity, and I think in the end he does look really good, but that's not the point of this video. Watch his stuff, as I say in almost every video at this point. But it's too much. This is the negative side. It's too much beef. Too much beef is not good for you. It's not. It gives you constipation, weight gain, and heart problems if you have too much beef. That goes for actual red meat, and that goes for internet beef as well. We need some Ruffage, okay? We're talking vegetables. We're talking, it doesn't have to be kale. It can be lettuce. But we need Ruffage because we are just getting beef after beef after beef. I posted too much beef on my Instagram, and Creme Broad reminded me of the song Beef Rap by MF Doom, and I think we need to remember this, okay? I suggest you change your diet. It can lead to high blood pressure if you fry it, or even a stroke, heart attack, heart disease. I ain't starting back once arteries start to squeeze. Anyways, goes on and on. Take the bologna in the bullpen, all of that. So this is the feeling that I have, that this beef is becoming just grist for the mill, just things to be monetized and produced and consumed, that the art is being squeezed out of it as we are sitting there like Mr. Creosote. Mr. Creosote is not shorthand in popular culture. Mr. Creosote should be shorthand in popular culture. Allow me to move this forward. Creosote, C-R-E-O-S-O-T-E. Mr. Creosote is a morbidly obese character played by Terry Jones in the 1983 movie Monty Python and the Meaning of Life. It is a sketch where this very, very large man sits down at a French restaurant. The maitre d' says, "How are you feeling?" And he says, "Better." "Better, sir? Better get me a bucket." because he eats and then he vomits. He eats and then he vomits. It is an extremely disgusting sketch. I hate it. I don't watch it. Quentin Tarantino famously said it's the only scene that gets him queasy, right? Him of Mr. Hyperviolence. But Mr. Creosote is what we're becoming with this beef, where we're given this beef. More beef, sir, and then we just vomit. We get more beef, and then now listen, the vomit might be you watching this video, might be me making this video, okay? It might be just talking on Twitter, but whatever it is, it's just too much. And what happens in the sketch is at the very end, he says, would you like a wafer thin mint? Just one more piece of food after eating all this food. Would you like a wafer thin mint? John Cleese says it. He takes the wafer thin mint and literally explodes. So the question is, at what point are we going to be Mr. Creosote and just explode? Because I think some of us are exploding. I think some of us are like off. Some of us are like, this is not fun anymore. I'm not at that point because it was never actually really fun to me. It's interesting, but I'm not sure it's fun. Okay? Turning into Carl Havoc over here. I said I thought it was interesting. All right? So let me just say this before I continue. Let me give you some Ruffage, okay? Let me help cleanse your palate at least a little bit. Please, take this excuse to listen to Al Green, all right? I'm Still in Love with You, not his most famous album, probably his second most famous album. It's the album that was sampled for 616 in Los Angeles. It's a great album. It'll get you calm, just smooth and silky and It's just beautiful, track to track to track to track. I would suggest, God, these are all so good. I guess Love and Happiness, that's my favorite off that. Yeah, so listen to Love and Happiness, okay? Get yourself some Ruffage, all right? And enjoy that a little bit. And for God's sake, listen to the Schoolboy Q album. That's the thing that bugs me the most. Is like, the Schoolboy Q album came out, and we're not listening to that enough because this takes up all the oxygen. Listen to Doves by Arm & Hammer, you know? Have you heard that track yet, that 8-minute track? You want to listen to an 8-minute track that'll change your life, that will stay with you forever. It's not disposable. It's not, when's the next track? When's the next track? When's the next track? When's the next track? When's the next one? Or listen to the world's best battle rapper, Kool Moe Dee. In particular, listen to the song Let's Go, which is, in my opinion, still the best battle rap song ever made. It's not on this album. I don't know where that cassette is. I'm doing pretty well for having at least one of my Kool Moe Dee cassettes left from youth. So, you know, in some ways, now that we're back, let's get back to the beef. I've given you some suggestions, okay? But let's get back to the beef. And there are some important things to be said. And sort of zooming out in a macro sense, staying on the negative tip. On the negative tip. Are we entering like a Bad Baby era of rap music? Remember Bad Baby? How Catch Me Outside, how about that? Remember how funny she was on Dr. Phil? And then remember how she turned that into a rap career? Remember how she did that? Remember how Bad Baby probably doesn't have to work for the rest of her life if she treated her money well? Because How About You Catch Me Outside, how about that? Where just her notoriety and her ugliness managed to get her a career? Are we entering the era of Jerry Springer rap? Who's the daddy? Who's the daddy? How many more kids do we have? Who comes next? Who's a wife beater? Who's this? Like, the question is, you know, how far have we fallen? You know, how far have we fallen from like LL Cool J versus Cannabis or LL Cool J versus Kool Moe Dee? How far have we fallen? Is this even rap beef anymore? Or is it internet drama? Now, this is what confuses me because I watch a lot of commentators. Okay, I've watched a lot of commentators on this. I've seen lots of great videos. And some people open up saying, now this is hip hop. Yeah, this is what it's all about. This is hip hop. Reaction and fighting and punching and counter punching. You know, this is it. And other people are like, I don't know if this is it. This feels like maybe it's internet drama. I think that's a question. And I think it's that something changed. I'm trying to figure out who's responsible. Please tell me in the comments if you're a hip-hop historian and you have an answer for me. I thought it might be Pusha T. It might be Pusha T's verse where he goes after Drake's kid that took it to a level of Jerry Springerness, of internet drama, where it was like really about like, it was like political, right? We now live in an age where political secrets carry no weight, right? Like the president is peed on by Russian hookers. Yeah, that's cool. The president's kid is doing blow with Ukrainian hookers. Yeah, it's probably pretty good. You know, like we're sort of past that point, but our celebrities are still a little bit accountable. I don't quite know. But I don't think it's actually Pusha T, because I've looked this up even more. And okay, if we go back to Kool Moe Dee versus LL Cool J, things are still just battles. It's just battles. It's just attacking. Okay? Like, seriously, I'll just take a second. Give me a second to give you some Ruffage, okay? Some nice balanced, a nice balanced steak with a wonderful salad next to it. And I don't mean like a Cobb salad. I mean like a nice, sophisticated, arugula-laden salad, okay? If you've never heard Let's Go, what makes it the best rap battle song of all time is that it's such a good song. Every line is quotable. I listened to it again today, and I surprised the hell out of myself. I knew like every single lyric of the song. Picture that, with a Kodak. I think he was the first person to say that. He takes every single L in LL Cool J's name and like says, you know, stands for lazy, lover, Lothario, just all over and over again. You sound, what in the world? You sound like Cheryl the Pearl, every single line. But what he does that's the best thing, and this is what I think should have happened with Drake, where it should have stayed. Want to survive? Stick with the love songs. Take off your shirt, flex and flirt, and leave the real hard rhymes to the hard rhyme experts. If you don't, boy, you'll get hurt. Feel like dirt and have to revert to coming on stage, buck naked, to make up for what you can't do on a record. Okay? That's the thing. Because LL Cool J is the original Drake. Talented, crossover appeal, and always beefing. Somehow managing to stay relevant, sometimes even through beefing. Part of his relevance has been through beefing. It helped to keep him alive. Got a lock on my jaw like a pit bull. He's awesome. Just great, right? So this back and forth was good, but then actually I think the place where it really turned was with Can I Bus, okay, or Cannabis, depending on how you want to pronounce it, okay? I've talked about this before on this channel in this series of videos. I was alive and listening to music when this happened, and it was the beginning of the internet for me. I was like legitimately trying to find places. I would like wait to try to find it on the radio. Where could I possibly hear these songs? And the song Second Round Knockout, which I think is actually, yes, it's track 5 on this album. If you can ever get past Get R Worded, which is like one of the best rap songs of the 90s. Man, he does have a mic. He does have the tattoo of the mic on there. That's fine. Where he actually talks about knowing that LL Cool J actually does coke. And that that he has people in LL Cool J's camp. So I would say, maybe this is the beginning of the modern era. Maybe because the internet was bubbling there. This idea that we needed to have, what's the term? In politics, where opposition research? Yes, you need to have opposition research. You have to have people behind the lines. You have to have spies and moles figuring out all of these things. Now, the nice thing is LL Cool J kept it cool. He didn't escalate. 49 pounds trying to be a mobster, run around town with a Bob Marley imposter. That's Wyclef. Ask Can I Bus, he can't understand this because 99% of his fans don't exist. I don't care if you don't like the movie Deep Blue Sea. First of all, it's a great movie, but that's fine. You can dislike LL Cool J, but 99% of his fans don't exist. Might go down as the best rap beef lyric of all time. He goes after Mike Tyson, calls him an ear biter. So that's the sort of world that I'm thinking of. You know, the old beef that was just better balanced with, I think, more Ruffage. Because what's happened now is the internet has made it. And this is the macro view. So Mr. AB5237, part of the reason why I'm comfortable talking about this now is that I think I have a larger view of it, which will hopefully stand the test of time and will exist as a historical document of this moment while it's happening. Because what's happened is there is now a rap beef industrial complex. There is an industrial complex. Everybody's making money. Everybody's cashing checks. Fantano's doing streams. Dead and Hip Hop's doing streams. FD Zignivar's doing streams. Professor Sky's doing 5 videos a day. Okay? I did a video in like 10 minutes yesterday. It's gotten 10,000 clicks in 24 hours. That is unheard of. My Taylor Swift stuff gets like 1,500 in 24 hours, okay? That's like some of my best performing videos ever. But the problem is those clicks are light. Those clicks are thin. Those clicks aren't going to be the clicks of the person who loves my craft and my contributions. I mean, they might be, some of them are, and if they are, that's awesome. But the real thing is, we're all Mr. Creosote. We're all just like, bring me the langoustine. Bring me the mussels. Right? And right now, I am your langoustine. That's what I'm just the little weird shrimp guys that Mr. Bean ate in that movie. And the thing that's crazy is that, like, I'm doing this video now because do you know what happened? The second that Drake and Kendrick dropped new beef, that they brought more beef to the table, Mr. Creosote doesn't want my video anymore. The second that the new songs come out, the old videos about the old songs disappear. I'm getting like 40 views an hour on those videos and I got 10,000 clicks. Why am I giving you details? Why am I giving you receipts? Because this is the whole concept. I am trying to participate in this. I am trying to be in it to see what it's like and bring it back to you so that you can see. Now listen, this is called lamp shading, because I'm taking the benefits of doing this thing that I'm pretending like I am better than, okay? I'm not better than it. I'm click farming and I'm a internet troll boy. I'm a mother troll boy, okay? That's fine, all right? That's just, okay, that's a different kind of lampshading. I'm just gonna keep lampshading you, so you're just gonna have to take it. But I'm trying to illustrate this moment, that as a, see, I was about to say content creator. I consider myself an artist and an intellectual. But when I'm talking about the beef, I know that I'm Mr. Creosote and I'm serving Mr. Creosote, okay? This moment is just about this churn. And the crazy thing is, this isn't the first time I've talked about Mr. Creosote on this channel in the last month. That's how I feel about Taylor Swift releasing 30 tracks, 31 tracks in one day. Bring me my bucket, okay? We don't trust you. 1. We still don't trust you. 2 album. Blady's releasing 31 tracks. We are just constantly, this is a moment. This is happening. This could not have happened this way in 2015. If we did not live in the moment of maximum content, if we were not reaching peak Creosote, if we were not at the point where one wafer-thin mint will make our entire culture explode, our entire society explode. That's where we are. So should I talk about the songs? What do you think? I still got my water from last night. It's wild. Wild. Wacky stuff. Let's talk about Family Matters. This is the problem that Drake has. Family Matters belongs on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Because every single thing that he is bringing as an attack against Kendrick Lamar is what Kendrick Lamar already said about himself in this album. And this isn't that, you know, Rabbit or B-Rabbit or Rabbity B, whatever it is from 8 Mile, where it's like, I say all the bad stuff about me so that you don't, you know, like you're like, I'm lampshading you, you know, and so that you don't say in the comments like that I'm lampshading you, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing. No, this is like a deep philosophical meditation on the nature of himself and his failures as a man as they pertain to his failures as a father, as a son, as a nephew, all of those things. So when Drake comes out here and he's trying to get him on all these things, arguably he doesn't make it. Now listen, the video's awesome, crushing the good kid van. That's fun, that's exciting. I like that he divided it into 3. He's having a conversation with Kendrick. He's sort of playing along. It's interesting because he starts by saying the N-word, and like, I don't believe in gambling. Don't gamble. Don't gamble on sports. Don't gamble on anything. But if I did, I would have bet my house that the first word on whatever Drake response would be the N-word, because that was the one thing he was told not to do. And that's the other thing. I'm sorry, Drake. I'm sorry, Kendrick, but like that whole point's kind of lost to this point. There've been so many other layers to it that now when I heard him say it, I didn't even think like, oh, he's saying it. Like I didn't even really think about it. And then he says drop, 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 which is ironic, of course, because he dropped within 15 minutes. And he's like singing and making, the thing about this song about Family Matters is that it's actually one of the better Drake songs. Like all the Kendrick songs in this entry are like not good Kendrick songs. They're good beef songs. This is actually like a good Drake song because I like the way he sings it. It's weird that he's like attacking as not being a real gangster because Kendrick doesn't talk about being a real gangster. He questions parentage, suggesting that Dave Free is the parent of his kid. And that's that Jerry Springer stuff, which is just like, I guess that hits. Then we get to the second part, which is interesting because he talks about him as being like a fake activist. And so the beat all of a sudden changed. The first part of the song, the beat's just this kind of weak, generic beat. Then we get kind of like a drill beat, which is kind of interesting, a little bit more ominous. This is where like he attacks Kendrick for being a fake activist. And like, that's what this whole album is about. Like, hey, I'm not your savior. I'm not the activist. He didn't come out during Black Lives Matter. Remember how everyone was mad? Because he was like, I'm not an activist. So you can't hit him for being a fake activist if he came out in the moment where the whole world said, put on your cape, Super Kendrick, Super Kung Fu Kenny, come to our rescue. And he was like, how about I chill out with some bicycles? I choose me, I'm sorry. So like this verse could have been like, you choose you, you're sorry, which is like, he already told us that. And then he talked about like using white women for self-esteem. It's like, that's one of the songs on the album that people don't listen to this album enough because it's too heavy, okay? Too heavy. The first time I effed a white bee, right? Isn't that one of the lyrics off this album? Isn't that it? Isn't he talking about that exact thing? And he says, don't blame me for bringing in kids. That's maybe the thing I feel most conflicted about is this all Kendrick's fault for starting this with like that? Or does this go back? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Then we get like attacking other people, attacking The Weeknd, calling him a druggy weirdo. Whoa. That's uncalled for, man. What do you think The Weeknd would feel if people knew that he did drugs and was kind of into sex? That's below the line, man. That's below the line, you know? Like next thing you're gonna do, you know, you're gonna say that, you know, Eiffel 65 likes being blue, you know? He hits A$AP Rocky pretty hard and pretty good. He references 21 Savage, but this is like the reminder where it's like, where's the super team? Like, shouldn't 21 Savage be in on this whole thing? Shouldn't he have his man's back? I don't know. He goes after Rick Ross, you know, mentioned that he's a police officer, goes after Future, goes after Metro, but obviously everything's leading up to the third part where the beat gets awesome, kind of nice low strings that go up high, his best rap style. It's the funniest thing. Kendrick opened his mouth, get the Grammys, hand him out. That's a beautiful idea. And then we get to this whole like weird clumsy ending where his rhyme style falls apart because he's like so into this metaphor about Michael Jackson that doesn't work. And he kind of gets in over his head with all these things that don't quite connect. And then there's the accusations of abuse and of mistreatment. And the thing is, it's not like on this album, he's like, no, he basically does. The way that I read this album is that he admitted on this album to being physically abusive with his partner at some point. That, to me, that was not a shock. To me, this album is about healing and growing through generational trauma and coming to terms with your weaknesses. So Drake can't hit him on it. Unless you just didn't know, in which case that's okay. And you know what? It makes sense because subtlety sucks. Kendrick tries to be subtle sometimes, and people punish him for it. People punish him for being subtle because they want it just to be straightforward, you know? And then it ends with saying, you're dead, which is a lot like Can I Bus's next song as LL Cool J, Rip the Jacker. And then we get the 15 minutes later. And this is the thing. This is probably the most interesting thing about the internet making this work, is that only in the internet age could you have a diss track drop and then have its response drop within the half hour. To the point where you listen to the original song twice and then the other song comes out. This completely changes everything about the discussion. If there were any bombs dropped in the last song, in particular, if people were shocked to learn that maybe that Kendrick Lamar is short and that he hit his wife or hit the woman who he refuses to make his wife. I gotta say, Drake did get pretty nasty there. I imagine that these bars, if I were Kendrick's partner, I would be unhappy about having these bars public. I would be like, please don't. Like, whatever this is, I don't want to be drug into this like this, but that's fine. But whatever it was just immediately cut off, because now it's a 2-pack. Not a 2-pack, it's a 2-pack. Now we have to consider these things together. Forever, these two songs are put together. Want proof? What's the name of this video? Actually, I don't know. I haven't named it yet. But it's going to include Meet the Grams and Family Matters analysis. They're always together. They're always together. He had no time to shine. He had no time to take the lead. He had no, he was just there. It's like if you ever watch association football, soccer, like sometimes a team scores after like 40 minutes and you're like, oh my God, finally there's going to be a winner. And then the other team ties it up like 10 seconds later and you're like, God damn it, it's so hard to score in this game, Immediately undercut it. And this is that form that I'm talking about. This is the form of the beef that is so interesting. The nowness of this. When I teach this in my class on Wednesday, I'm going to be talking about that. This is a reflection of our time. Our Mr. Creosote time. We demand content. Now, The Alchemist produced this, which is great. I don't know if this is like on purpose, that he has a white producer. That seems like he's opening himself up, but what are you going to do? He's one of, if not the best producer. Speaking of your Ruffage, y'all heard the Gangrene album that he did? You heard Gangrene with Oh No and The Alchemist? Have you spent 10 hours watching coverage of the beef and not heard Gangrene? Please have some Ruffage. It'll make you regular, clear out the colon. You'll really enjoy yourself. You'll be a little bit less, the beats go so hard on Gangrene. And Alchemist, to be honest, Alchemist kind of got washed by Oh No, like in terms of a beat battle. But they're both at the very tippy top of production, okay? No song in all this beef is half as good as the worst song on Gangrene. So if you love hip-hop, you love rap, check it out, okay? Anyways, but this is a great beat. And one thing that Alchemist knows how to do is make long beats. So these songs are long. He knows how to have them be long. He knows how to make, because I think he might be the best posse cut producer, because he's had to do it for so many underground rap artists. This great dun 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 dun, this great ominous and hard beat with this bass that's on the one and the piano descending. He could go on for 4 hours and you'd never get tired of it. That's one of Alchemist's many tricks. And then we had this whole idea of talking to the family members. So on the one hand, it's very, Dear Adonis starting right off. It's hard not to have a father. It's so cold. It's so nasty. It's so below the belt. Why do I even put this thing away? I'm tired of the reflections here, okay? It's so consistent with these themes. Like, it feels like he might be talking to himself as a kid, Maybe Eckhart Tolle told him to have a conversation with his younger self. And what would you say to young Kendrick, who's come back from Wendy's and seeing someone shot with a gun in the drive-thru? What would you say to young Kung Fu Kenny? What would you say? I'm sorry your father's not good and that you live in this terrible life, but there are better things to do, and let me teach you how to be a man. This is the crisis of fatherhood. This is the crisis of fatherhood. This diss is not about Drake. It is about Drake. Of course it is. But if we're going to take a larger approach on it, it is much better as Kendrick's successful attempts at communicating these images. And then he talks to his parents by their name. I remember so I used to, I grew up in Boston, so Bostonians have a nasty sense of humor. We just cap on each other all the time. That's how you, there's a great Dana Gould joke about him and his family, and someone starting off with saying, I don't mean to compliment you, but like, that's how nasty we are, So like, we just always capping on each other, always dissing each other. And I remember the first time my friend Jonathan, we called him Stumpy, brought my mom's first name into a joke. Because, we'd just tell mom jokes, like, your mom, your mom, your mom. And he's like, well, yeah, that was after Tori. That was after I had Tori over last night. It's like, bro, not cool. Oh my God. And then like 2 jokes later, I'm bringing up Gail. That's how things go. That's how things escalate. So that's an interesting thing. And I love how he goes after the father and he blames the father for his gambling addiction, for raising a horrible person, and how he's a sick man, how he should die. Is this legal? Is this legal? Is this not a call to violence? I don't know. I don't think it's going to get violent. Rap beefs haven't gotten violent. Well, I mean, mainstream rap beefs haven't gotten violent, so hopefully it won't get violent. But he does call for him to die multiple times, which means that all of this, like the wafer, I don't want the wafer to be someone getting shot. Because that'll be the wafer theme mint. Because once that happens, we're not going to want this anymore. We're not going to be enjoying this if we lose any of these great artists. And they're both great artists. They're both great artists. They're both epoch-defining artists. They are both incontestable rap geniuses, worthy of the highest praise you can possibly dole upon them. Both of them. So, let's remember that. But it's all about the cycle of abuse. And talks a lot about, like, he quotes Cat Williams to defend himself, which is a little bit iffy, all about the cycle of abuse. Talks about, apparently Drake leaked a video of his penis or something. I didn't watch it. But apparently that happened. There's a Josh Johnson joke about it. So I watch his stuff. He's very funny. Speaking of Ruffage, man, you ever watch Josh Johnson's comedy? I guarantee you he's going to have commentary on this that's going to be very funny. He may be, side note, he may be like the best comedian right now because he's doing the best job of matching internet-style reaction humor and actual stand-up comedy. No one is doing it as well as Josh Johnson is right now. So there's just random praise for a great comedian and a great artist. I do think there's a word missing on this. I think the last word of this verse, you're meant to fill in the N-word because the way that he delivers these last lines, it's about you. Like it's exactly the space in a rap song where you would punctuate, because most often the N-word is not used to refer to somebody. It is used as a modifier, as like an exclamatory word, right? And I think it's not there on purpose. I think he wants us to feel either subconsciously or consciously its lack, because again, that's part of his whole thing, is that whatever the Black experience is that is shared by using that term, Drake does not have the right to share in that experience. Who am I to say? But this whole like trafficking question and the underage thing, it's wild, because it might actually be a bad look. Because if it's true, and Kendrick knew it, would he not have said anything if Family Matters never came out? Like, would he have just like sat on it and just been like, oh, well, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, would he have warned Steph Curry not to hang around with Drake if this beef hadn't happened? Does he not have that obligation to try and save people? Or is it just ammo? I guess he outs another child. This is such a weird thing, because this is why everything is so fascinating to me, okay? Because so much of what made this album so fascinating is its meditation on adulthood and all that, and manhood, but that all of these sort of tropes of rap music, I mean, like, there's a lot of musicians in general, a lot of rappers in particular, who have illegitimate children. I don't even like that term. Children out of wedlock, okay? There are a lot of little Robert Plants running around there. Okay, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of probably little George Harrisons running around. There's a lot of Kodak Blacks, okay? We know there's running around there, okay? But like, making that the biggest insult? That's kind of a wild moment. This thing that is largely accepted as a thing that happens has now become an insult. And again, I am a tourist in this whole culture. I am not a part of rap culture, hip-hop culture, Black American culture, but I do observe. And in my observations, this might be a crucial moment where a lot of these things, like all the things that, what's her name? The one that Tupac always beefed with. I wonder why they call you, oh my God, how am I forgetting her name? I didn't get enough sleep last night because I'm sitting up till 2 o'clock listening to all the rap beefs. King? No, what is the name? Anyways, doesn't matter. Dolores Tucker, thank you. Dolores Tucker, Bill Cosby, they might be happy with what's happening here because there is an awkward way of personal, like the concept of personal accountability is sort of arriving in here through these themes. The 11th birthday, oh my God, just goes on and on. So I'm not going to go through all these things, except that he says, I'd like to, okay, history do repeat itself. No, his father probably doesn't claim him neither. History do repeat itself. Sometimes it don't need a reason. But how I like to say it, it's not your fault that he's hiding another child. Give him grace. It's the reason I made Mr. Morales. Our babies like you can cope later. Our babies, okay? He's talking about our babies. Even though he's targeting Drake, he's talking about himself. And then he goes on to the final verse. Dear Aubrey, you got gambling problems, drinking problems, pill popping and spending problems, bad with money, whorehouse, all this stuff, all this stuff, all this stuff. I try to empathize with you, and he just keeps going. And that's the you know, therapy is a lovely start. I think he's trying to treat Drake a little bit like an equal. I think he sees himself in Drake. I think you can imagine that he's talking to himself because he knows what a weak and insecure man he is and the pain that that's caused on people. You've heard the song Father Time, have you not? You do understand that Father Time is as important as any rap song that has ever been made in the history of the art form in the 50 years that it's been made. I understand that you like Damn more than this. I like Damn more than this. But this has Father Time on it. It's hard not to read Father Time into this song. And then he ends about lying and lying and lying and lying. And that's where I just want to go back one more time to Can I Bus? On Rip the Jacker, or Rip the Jacker. He ends that with going after LL Cool J as a liar. And LL Cool J is, to my knowledge, the first person, at least in the mainstream, to call himself the GOAT. He had an album called The GOAT, Greatest of All Time. And he calls him the GLOAT, the greatest liar of all time. And that feels like that goes really well into here. You lied about your son, you lied about your daughter, you lied about them other kids, hoping they come. You lied about the only artist that offer you some help. F rap battle. This is a lifelong battle with yourself. And there it is. So there's my commentary, Mr. Creosote. Did you enjoy it? Do you feel better? Do you need to vomit? Is this your vomiting? What's going to happen next? Is anything going to happen next? Is this beef going to end so that we can get on to the business? I've also been listening to Dua Lipa and dancing around in the kitchen. My daughter loves it when I do the Running Man. I don't like dancing the Running Man. A 46, 47? How old am I? 46-year-old white men should not be doing the Running Man unless they're Ted Lasso. I'm doing the Running Man and my daughter's dancing with me in there. And it's awesome. And we're listening to Dua Lipa. And that's the Ruffage, everybody. Find the Ruffage, listen to Al Green, ignore the beef, click on my next video about the beef. Until next time, there's the camera.